Due to the content of this program, parental discretion is advised. Who is the world's greatest fighter? This planet's ultimate warrior. 3 years ago, we set out to find a fighter with the strength, stamina, technique, and guts to capture the toughest title in sports. Tonight, the toughest tournament answers the toughest question. Who is the world's greatest fighter? Is it Ken Shamrock, two-time super fight champion, who's beaten the best the Octagon has to offer? Or is it the Predator, former UFC champion Don Frye, a master tactician with fists of stone? Could it be Tank Abbott, a man of superhuman strength who simply will not quit? Or this man, Kimo, the UFC's original bad boy, who's back leaner and meaner than ever? Maybe it's one of these four seasoned challengers, hungry for the belt that so far has eluded them. The best, be it champion or challenger, is here tonight, ready to take his rightful place in martial arts history. 3 years, 12 tournaments, and over 100 no-holds-barred fights have led us to this moment. The Ultimate Fighting Championships Tournament of Champions. Ultimate 96. Are you ready? Let's open up the gates. For the second time, the Ultimate Fighting Championship heads to the heart of Dixie. We're in the Magic City, Birmingham, Alabama, for a magical night of mixed-matched martial arts. Our setting, the State Fair Arena, which has played host to the Alabama Fair since 1982, and tonight welcomes the UFC's Tournament of Champions. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bruce Beck. Welcome to Ultimate 96. Double the pressure, double the power, double the passion. We begin this martial arts spectacular with 8 fighters. We've got 7 fights, 1 belt, and a $150,000 payday. First, let's get to the news. 2-time UFC champion Mark Coleman is out, diagnosed with a virus last week. So he loses out on his greatest challenge ever in the Octagon. That's because this field is loaded. It includes two-time UFC super fight champion Ken Shamrock, UFC 8 winner Don the Predator Frye, and 3 fighters who went to finals in UFC tournament competition. So the UFC's Ultimate is now in session, and it's strictly pass-fail. Well, there are a lot of heavyweights tonight, but the man to my right is a super heavyweight. He won the 1984 Olympic gold medal, Greco-Roman wrestling, super heavyweight division. Jeff Blatnigan. Jeff, what about the depth and quality of our field?
Oh, without a doubt, the depth and quality are beyond compare. You're talking Shamrock and Frye, true, proven warriors here at the Ultimate Fighting Championship. You then have Brian Johnston and Cal Worsham, 2 fighters who each time we've seen them have developed their bodies better and, most importantly, developed their skills. You have the Tank, fresh off that stinging loss with Ferrozzo. Take a look at then Goodridge. He's been to the finals in the UFC. Could this be his opportunity? And then I think 2 interesting ones. Kimo has lost nearly 40 pounds. He is a sleek, trim, and mean fighter now, but he's going against Paul Varelans, the polar bear. He has put on probably 40 or 50 pounds. That should be a great matchup.
You've got to win 3 fights in one night to win the championship. So this is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It also might be a war of attrition.
Oh, without a doubt, that has to enter into the fighter's psyche. It has to be part of the preparation, knowing that your body has to last. You have to win the fight you're in to advance, but also you want to get it over with as quick as you can, and certainly without accepting any punishment.
Well, Don the Dragon Wilson is on assignment. So the man joining us tonight has been around the martial arts game for the past 20 years. He's one of the world's foremost authorities on self-defense. Let's check in with Tony Blauer.
Thanks, guys. The excitement back here is quite electric. There's a couple of points I want to bring out. the cross-training element is probably the newest thing to come out of the UFC, which is probably not just an event anymore, but emerging as its own combat system. The fighters now are looking at grappling, at striking, at boxing, so they come in as the multifaceted fighter. Also, the mental attributes are going to be critical here, because with fighters of this caliber, you cannot make big mistakes. Back to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Tony, and welcome aboard. So right now, let's take a look at the matchups for Ultimate 96. We open with a power play. Ken Shamrock versus Brian Johnston. Shamrock back in tournament competition for the first time since UFC 3. The victor of that one will take on the winner of Tank Abbott versus Cal Worsham. It's the Outlaw versus the Marine. Bottom half of the bracket features the rematch between the Predator and the Big Daddy, Don Frye and Gary Goodridge, while the last fight of the opening round pits a leaner, meaner Kimo against the polar bear, Paul Varelans. Here are the laws of the octagon. No biting, no eye gouging, no fish hooking. The referee has the authority to restart the bout if there is a lack of action. No rounds, but a 12-minute time limit with 1 3-minute overtime in the quarters and semis, a 15-minute time limit with 2 3-minute overtimes in the final. Here are the ways to win a fight: by knockout, by submission, if the corner throws in a towel, if the referee stops the contest because a fighter cannot intelligently defend himself, by disqualification, or if time expires, 3 judges render a decision. Now, throughout the evening, we'll be telling you about our next Ultimate Fighting Championship. It's coming up on February 7th. It's going to be an electric and innovative event. And throughout the course of the evening, you'll be meeting some of the participants for that February 7th show. So more on that later. We're excited about our big announcement. Stay with us on the Ultimate. Well, the referee for this event, well known. He's Big John McCarthy, a tactical instructor at the Los Angeles Police Academy, working his 12th UFC and his 90th reality combat fight. The jiu-jitsu competitor is in command in the octagon. Our judges tonight, by the way, Curtis Shearer, Jeff Mullen, and Dr. Stephen Hoyt. And so in the Magic City of Birmingham, Alabama, we are set for our first quarterfinal matchup. Will it be a battle of power or precision? 2-time super fight champion Ken "The Rock" Shamrock against UFC 10 and 11 semifinalist Brian Johnston. Here's the tale of the tape. Shamrock submission fighting, Johnston kickboxing. Look at the age 2 ways. Johnston 5 years younger, or Shamrock 5 years more experienced. Both fighters from Northern California. So it's Johnston and Shamrock to start things off. Right now, a closer look at Brian Johnston. Brian Johnston is the UFC's first quadruple threat: wrestler, judo player, kickboxer, and Golden Gloves champ. A man of many talents, he's truly a different class of fighter. Competing in UFC 10 and 11, Johnston has experienced the hard reality of the octagon from 2 of its best teachers, Don Frye and Mark Coleman. Tonight, he faces the ultimate test. The ultimate. He is known as the Fury, Brian Johnston. He is 2-2 in the UFC, was in number 10 and number 11. Both times went to the semifinals and lost to 2 pretty good ones. The Predator Don Frye and Mark Coleman, 2-time champion. Johnston is bigger than ever, 238 pounds.
Well, he certainly has put on some muscle mass, realizing that power is such an important ingredient, particularly in grappling. Let's look at Johnston here. He is a Golden Gloves champ. Look for him to be precision with his punches. He has some wrestling and judo experience, but I look for the ground attack to be his biggest weakness. He's also a very good kicker.
He says his style is to have a totally well-rounded package. Bruce Lee coined a phrase of having no way as a way. He adheres to that philosophy. His opponent back in the octagon in the main draw, Ken Shamrock. Since his historic first match in UFC 1, Ken Shamrock has dominated in the octagon. A man of incredible power and stamina, the two-time super fight champion is also a master tactician. Now, 2 years removed from tournament competition, Shamrock's back with a vengeance.
When I step in that ring, it's going to be feet flying, fists flying, people's bodies flying. No more of this technique and all this stuff. If the technique's there, I'm going to use it. If the face is there, I'm going to use that.
Any fighter facing him tonight better get ready to rock. Student, teacher, tactician, master of submission with the power of a lion. Ken Shamrock, for the first time in 2 years, is back in the main UFC draw. Hungry, walking to the octagon by himself. He's trying to prove a point. He says, this time it's for me. It's all about me.
Shamrock has taken some time off. He has worked furiously to train himself to be the best fighter his potential will allow him to develop into. Let's take a peek at his discipline here. He's master of submissions. That is his strength. Great wrestling skills as well. He wants the fight to go to the ground, but he also is a very powerful puncher. Versatile.
Shamrock from Lockford, California. He is the main man at the Lion's Den. He's been training with Kim Woods, the Cincinnati Bengals conditioning coach, trying to get even stronger. What a way to start. Johnston and Shamrock. Let's go up to our octagon announcer tonight, Manny Garcia, for the formal introduction of the fighters.
Ladies and gentlemen, SEG Sports Corporation welcomes you to the Alabama State Fairgrounds Arena in beautiful Birmingham, Alabama, for the greatest martial arts competition in the world. It's the Ultimate Fighting Championship Tournament of Champions, the Ultimate 96. 8 of the world's toughest fighters will walk into this octagon tonight. 8 battle-seasoned veterans, and only one will emerge victorious. Tonight, there are no weight classes, no rounds, no timeouts. Are you ready? Let's get it on! Introducing first, a kickboxer with a record of 12-0 in amateur competition. He also holds a black belt in judo and is the reigning Northern California Golden Gloves Super Heavyweight Champion. 2-2 in UFC competition, 27 years old, 6 feet 4 inches tall, and weighing in at 238 pounds, fighting out of San Jose, California. A veteran of UFC 10 and UFC 11, Brian Johnston. His opponent, representing the art of submission, fighting from Lockford, California, undefeated in UFC super fight competition, 32 years old, 6 feet 220 pounds, 2-time super fight champion with a record of 5-2-2, the master of the octagon, The Rock, Ken Shamrock.
Here we go, the ultimate, 100% pure adrenaline, 1000% pure guts.
You ready? Are you ready? Let's get it on!
Don't blink. Shamrock and Johnston. Shamrock says he's only going forward. He wants to be aggressive. No more tactical games. Let's see.
Shamrock will probably want to close after an extended strike from Johnston. Some questions need to be answered here about Brian Johnston, how much he has improved in the ground attack role.
Kick by Johnston, but Shamrock was waiting for it and drills him into the fence.
And has him down now, guard assumed by Johnston.
He's got him up against the octagon fence and lands a right hand. Shamrock lands another. Shamrock continues to explode.
Johnston with his head against the fence is vulnerable because he doesn't have the space to move it back now, so he always stays in range.
Let's go there, Brian. Let's go.
Johnston being warned by referee John McCarthy to move. Not an easy task right now. Shamrock's right hand is his best hand.
Doing good.
Right hand by Shamrock again.
Another one, Shamrock landing again. You want to win as quick as possible. You've got to win 3 bouts in a night.
Look it out, Brian. Let's go.
But Johnston is strong.
You almost wonder when Shamrock starts driving you whether you should go down in the center where you have room to maneuver rather than get pushed all the way to the fence and find yourself in this kind of a situation.
A multitude of right hands landed by Shamrock. First he went upstairs, then to the midsection.
Keep working, Ken.
Shamrock's grappling background will allow him to stay in this mounted position. He won't give it up. His balance is very good.
Shamrock landing again. He's got Johnston wedged against that octagon where he can score. 2 minutes in.
Doing good.
For Johnston, I'm sure it seems longer than that.
He's doing the right thing, though, hanging on to Shamrock's head, trying to keep Shamrock from creating too much distance where there's so much space you can thread those big punches through.
And Johnston has the fury to try to make a move if he can. Shamrock lands another right. Johnston fighting back. Shamrock continues to land.
He's in the great position here.
A plethora of right hands by Shamrock.
No panic by Johnston yet.
Let go of the fence. Get your hand off the fence. Get your hand off the fence.
And there's one of the new rules employed by the Ultimate Fighting Championship. You can't use that fence anymore for a long period of time.
Strictly to hang on or to use as a leverage to throw those punches. You hear McCarthy demanding that Shamrock let go while engaged in those strikes.
What about Johnston's defense right now, Jeff?
Johnston's playing good defense, except that he's keeping his head against the fence. I would sacrifice exposing myself to try to turn 180 and face towards the center of the octagon. That way he doesn't have the fence holding his head up, keeping him in striking range.
Spin this way for the entire fight. Shamrock on top, Johnston on the bottom. 12-minute bout, 3-minute OT if necessary.
Well, we'll be coming up on the 4-minute mark, but it's been all Shamrock thus far. Ooh, an elbow by Johnston.
He worked that right hand free. Shamrock comes back.
Come on, let's work.
They thought this might be a great fight. Thus far, it has lived up to it. Shamrock in control, but Johnston hanging in there, surviving, looking for his opportunity.
Get out there, Brian.
Johnston showing his mettle. Again, McCarthy employs him to move. Easier said than done.
You can notice now Shamrock has gone to his left hand to punch. You wonder if he started to punch out that right arm a little bit, and he's giving it a rest. Let it re-energize. Good left hook.
Snap that left hook to the head of Johnston. Back to the body. Those body blows will stick with you until the wee hours of the morning if you can put them together for a while.
Let go of the fence. I'll break you apart. Get your hands up.
Approaching 5 minutes in.
The crowd urging Ken Shamrock on. He has quite a following in the fighting world.
Shamrock again on top of Brian Johnston. Opening bout of the Ultimate 96. Left hand by Shamrock. They're short, quick punches.
Not a lot of power.
Yep.
Not a lot of power, Bruce, but certainly adding up in terms of judges' points.
Bothersome.
And absolutely bothersome. You know you're getting hit, even though you know you're not being punished with the strike. It certainly is still scoring in the back of your mind saying, hey, I'm getting hit. Johnston's going to have to do something desperate here.
Come on, let's go.
Shamrock snuck in a couple of headbutts.
Johnson, get out of there. Get
that's a tap. That's a tap. It's over. Shamrock wore down Brian Johnston and wins his quarterfinal bout. Shamrock said he would be aggressive and not go backwards. He was true to his word. His wife Tina looks on. There's the mutual respect for one another. And John McCarthy will now raise the arm of Shamrock.
The winner of the first quarterfinal,
5:49.
Shamrock.
Shamrock back in the main draw with a vengeance.
And one good thing for Ken Shamrock, if the strategy is to avoid attrition and avoid punishment, he went out, created the environment he wanted to, and was relentless with those punches and the strikes, never allowing Johnston even a moment of offense. And that really is going to pay dividends. And that's going to pay dividends in the end. It appeared as though at the tap, Shamrock had some kind of an arm across the throat, or maybe, you know, Johnston was a little bit fatigued as well.
John McCarthy said he had a forearm choke, which forced a tap out. Let's take a look at some of the action, Jeff.
Well, it was all Shamrock from the start. He bided his time, waited for the extended strike, and as Johnston tried the kick, he shot the double leg, drove him all the way to the fence, and immediately assumed the top position.
Shamrock once had a nickname, One Punch Shamrock. For a while, he didn't like the nickname. Now he says, I don't mind if you call me that again, because he wants to unload that right hand.
You certainly want to take your opponent out and get the fight over with quickly in this tournament, and you can see those big right hands, one after the other, and it stayed that way. And there, the arm across the throat, fatigue on Johnston's mind. He's never had an opportunity to even get going in this fight. He taps out.
All right, here we go. Bout number 2 in the Ultimate, and it's a rematch. Down the Predator Frye, Gary Big Daddy Goodridge. Here's a look at the tail of the tape. Goodridge is the bigger man. He weighs in at 263, Frye at 217. Goodridge also has the height advantage. One is from Arizona, the other from Canada. He's from Barrie, Ontario. Right now, a closer look at the man they call Big Daddy. When it comes to pure power, arm wrestling champion Gary Goodridge of Ontario has plenty to burn. As a seasoned veteran of UFC competition, he has shown the awesome power and talent needed to capture tonight's championship. Could Canada be on the verge of its first UFC title? Only Big Daddy knows the answer. Here he comes, the Big Daddy, Gary Goodridge, who's 3-3 in the octagon, was the runner-up in UFC 8 when he lost to Don Frye at 214. He tapped out, but Big Daddy is looking for revenge.
Goodridge now has lots of experience in the octagon. Certainly that will pay big dividends towards how he approaches fighting. He is a striker. He wants to keep it on his feet. Tremendously powerful. And he will certainly want to bring that power to bear in his strikes. He says he will strike on the ground, but that's the kind of talk which means I don't have a strong ground attack.
Well, he recently won the Yukon Jack World Arm Wrestling Championship in Orlando in September. And this, another forum for him. The Predator, Don Frye, is his opponent. Standing up or on the ground, no one fights like the Predator, UFC 8 champion Don Frye. In the David and Goliath tournament, he beat 3 giants, Ramirez, Atkins, and Goodridge, to take the title. Then came UFC 10 and newcomer Mark Coleman. For the first time, an exhausted Frye came up short. So tonight, it's the return of the Predator, and he's back, determined to reclaim the belt. He's got a mean streak. It runs 10 generations deep. Pennsylvania Dutch, Irish, Scottish, Cherokee warrior. The man who manages him is Dan the Beast Severn. His trainer is Becky Levi, known for her strength and conditioning. The Predator is looking to re-establish himself as the master of the octagon.
This could be a big step forward for the Predator, putting himself as one of the premier UFC fighters after that defeat to Coleman. He certainly has a wonderful discipline, strong boxing background, tremendous grappling background. He has been tabbed by even some of the fighters themselves as the most balanced fighter here in the octagon. Certainly knockout power.
There's a look at the Predator, Don Frye. He is ready for battle. We have word right now that Ken Shamrock is out. Shamrock is injured. He will not advance. The alternate, Steve Nelmark, will take his place. So already you can see that this is a battle of attrition. Right now, for the introduction of the fighters, let's go to Manny Garcia.
Introducing first, returning to the octagon tonight, a 3-time veteran, runner-up of UFC 8, a 4th-degree black belt in Korean art of Kuk Sul Won, a 2nd-degree black belt in martial arts cross-training, and a brown belt in freestyle fighting. He is the 1993 Canadian Amateur Super Heavyweight Boxing Champion, 30 years old, standing 6 feet 3 inches tall, and weighing in at 263 pounds, fighting out of Barrie, Ontario, Canada, the Big Daddy, Gary Goodridge. His opponent, fighting out of Sierra Vista, Arizona, a 2nd-degree black belt in the art of judo, a former pro boxer, a Greco-Roman wrestler, 31 years old, 6 feet 1 inch tall, and weighing in at 217 pounds, 6-1 in the octagon. Please welcome the UFC 8 Ultimate Fighting Champion, the Predator, Don Frye.
A rematch of UFC 8 in Puerto Rico in February. Frye won it in 2 minutes and 14 seconds. It's a bigger Big Daddy. He's up from 240 to 263. Frye is at 217.
Bruce, you mentioned redemption. Goodridge has good reason for redemption, wanting this rematch against the Predator Frye.
You're absolutely right. Here we go. Goodridge wearing the gi. Quick right hand landed by Frye. Up against the octagon fence and back off. Knee by Frye.
That had some impact to it. It backed Goodridge right off. And this is where Frye was so effective. Uppercut, hook, uppercut, hook.
Up against the octagon fence again.
Personally, I think against a grappler, I think a gi is a bad move.
Frye with a quick move of his own, and he lands the right.
It's one thing for a wrestler to be able to take an opponent down using just a body part, but when you give him clothing to head onto, once he grabs it, you can't break his grip.
Goodridge lands a big right hand.
Goodridge using the fence to keep himself up. Trading knees now, the two combatants.
If they end up on the mat, it favors Frye. Goodridge doing his best to keep it on the feet. Right hand landed by Frye. Short uppercut.
Oh, good right hand. And they separate. Crowd loves it. Great sequence there. Goodridge stopping the grappler from taking him to the ground, but he absorbed some punishment.
Frye leading with the right hand. A knee by Frye.
Let it go, dog.
You don't see in boxing very much. A fighter lead with the right, easily sets it up with a jab, but Frye just threw a straight right.
The speed of Frye's punches are beating Goodridge to the mark.
Goodridge showing some of his raw power here.
They say sometimes the big, powerful people is slower. You can feel the body tensing up for the strike, and perhaps that gives you that momentary advantage or anticipation of being able to stop it from connecting. Frye able to duck under that one hard right.
Lands an uppercut of his own. Oh, a solid kick by Frye.
Frye again showing his versatility, using kicks now as well as knees, something we really haven't seen a lot of from the Predator in the past.
Frye would want to make a move here, Jeff, rather than engage in just a pure muscle contest with Goodridge.
Well, I think position has so much to do with it, and you can see Frye hanging on to the gi. The gi becomes an actual asset for Frye here. When Goodridge wants to separate, Frye stays in tight to him.
Good, keep working.
So well matched.
And you can see Frye, if you can see Frye's left hand, it's out of the camera angle here. It's hanging out of the shoulder part of the gi. So when Goodridge tries to throw that right hand, he feels it coming, and he can actually use the gi to hinder that motion of the punch.
Goodridge landing a short right hand. There's an uppercut by Goodridge. He's landing to Frye's face.
Frye's hands now are below, protecting against that uppercut. But he's still hanging on to the gi at the collar. Still hanging on to it so that Goodridge can't disappear.
Oh, there was a solid uppercut by Frye.
There it is. Hook, uppercut, hook, uppercut. A Frye trademark. He's shown that combination in the past. Goodridge needs to get off the fence. He wants to be able to move so that he can create space.
Frye landed 3 or 4 solid rights. Goodridge back to the body with the right hand. Frye answers and then goes upstairs. 4 minutes in. 12-minute time limit, 1 3-minute overtime if necessary. Frye again with an uppercut. And both fighters exerting a lot of energy here, which does not bode well for the tournament format. Frye lands again with a right.
And he almost finished that with his elbow. That might be another way. Yeah, he is using his elbow. Again, another tactic change by Frye.
So he goes from fists of stone to elbows of granite.
Goodridge, though, doesn't look as though he's in any real trouble. He can't get off. In other words, he really can't get his offense going. But it doesn't appear as though Frye is taking him out with those punches. The big man, the size, that thick neck and shoulder area, able to absorb it.
And there's Frye working on that gi, pulling on the gi. Uppercut by Goodridge. Oh, another big right hand by Goodridge.
Headbutt by Frye there. Good fight. We're seeing a lot of different strategy here on how to approach striking an opponent from close quarters. Another right hand, and now Frye wants him in the middle.
He's the strength and conditioning coach and trainer for Frye. They're back on their feet in the middle. Goodridge finally off the fence. Goodridge with a combination.
This is a good strategy by Goodridge not to get down on the ground. He's using the fence to keep himself up, absorbing the shots that Frye's trying to get off.
Keep it working.
And the whole time keeping himself in the fight.
6 minutes in. Quarterfinal number 2.
Doing good, come on.
And both guys look tired.
They've spent a lot of energy pushing, shoving, fighting up against the fence.
Takedown by Goodridge.
Goodridge now has Frye on his back. We have not seen this often.
Separate you right now. Get him off.
McCarthy says, get your hands off the fence or I'll separate you right now. Goodridge with the weight advantage now.
Yes, and that weight will help to try to keep Frye down, but Frye has a great amount of experience in grappling. Look for him to try to reverse, but what he's doing is keeping Goodridge's head down. But Big Daddy has a bench press. Big arms, he will try to separate and start to rain blows down.
Keep working, doing good.
Short headbutt by Big Daddy, not much damage, but keeping the pressure on throughout.
Get your head off the fence, Gray. I'll stand you up.
Frye working, moving along the fence.
See if Big Daddy here can get off. He hasn't used this position to his advantage yet.
Big Daddy misses with a short headbutt.
And just for an example, Bruce, to show about the gi again, one hand can grab the back collar of the gi and hold the head down. The second hand is free to attack with, whether it's going after your opponent's throat or throwing a strike.
Does Frye have the energy here, Jeff, to try some type of reversal? Oh, that was a big right hand by Goodridge.
Good punch. Best one for Goodridge of the fight. Potentially Frye here wants to feel what Goodridge is going to do and wait for Goodridge to get frustrated and try to separate himself, and that is where he'll probably try to turn this position into a scramble and rely on his grappling ability to come out of it.
Short headbutt employed by Goodridge.
Goodridge doing a good job here.
Frye grabs Goodrich's head. He's capable of a choke.
He's looking to try to scoot his hips out towards the center of the octagon and try to base out, get in a scramble and get back to his feet. Or perhaps just try to roll the Big Daddy over. Use an elevator.
Goodridge stays in control.
Actually, the Predator can rest a little bit here.
That's what he's doing right now. You can see
Big Daddy is also trying to do that. Big Daddy's punches don't seem to carry the snap right now.
Well, he doesn't really have the angle either.
No angle. Can't get that body into the punch either, so there's no power behind it.
9 minutes in. 12-minute regulation, 1 3-minute overtime.
If this stays here a lot longer, Bruce, we can see referee John McCarthy break this and put it back up on their feet. This has been a great fight. Numerous situations up against the fence and now in the guard, and we're looking at perhaps an arm lock by the Predator. Nothing yet.
Goodridge continues to move. And Frye exerting a lot of energy in that last attempt. Breathing heavily through the mouth.
Yes, both athletes are breathing heavily through the mouth, but Frye again showing his versatility, letting everything go to go after an arm lock. Goodridge unable to capitalize while Frye was in, or actually out of position there when he was unable to secure that submission hold. Becky, Frye's strength and conditioning coach. Another arm bar here applied by Frye. Not working yet.
Goodridge trying to fight it off. Throws a right hand. That'll take some snap off of Frye's hold. There's Gary Goodrich's corner.
Goodrich
Mike Miles' manager, Fong Tron, John Knapp, Norm Bell. Goodridge once beat 1,000 men in a row in 2 hours in Japan in arm wrestling, and that's the kind of power that he used, that right hand.
Frye looking to try to get off the bottom. Oh, good right hand by Don Frye. And he's looking to go for the arm bar again. This he might be able to get out of now.
Let's see if Frye can move from here. A minute to go before overtime.
Goodridge perhaps looking for a choke. Watch him try for the big knee.
Frye grabs the leg.
And Goodridge tap out. Goodridge is exhausted.
Frye wins it.
Oh, it can happen quick, Bruce. Frye reversed him, got in top. And Big Daddy was tired. And Big Daddy tapped out rather than take the punishment.
Quarterfinal fight, Don Frye.
With just 40 seconds left in regulation, Frye wins by submission. Tremendous heart by Don Frye. He took the punishment, and then he was able to make the one move, and he went after Big Daddy, and he scored.
Well, he's certainly used a lot of energy early on up against the fence trying to repel Frye's attack.
He's got the energy
to tie his shoes right now. It's kind of hard to believe. But again, when you're on your back, you spend a lot more energy in offense that gets frustrated than you do in defense that's effective.
An exhausted Goodridge walks out of the octagon. There's Frye.
And that's where Goodridge got tired. Offense on top, he had none. He tried and he tried. It caught up to him, and when the tables got turned and he found himself on the bottom, Goodridge tapped out.
It was exhaustion, according to referee John McCarthy. Once the reversal came about, as Jeff said, he had nowhere to go but tapping the mat. Jeff, let's take a look back at the highlights of this one and begin with the takedown by Big Daddy.
Well, Big Daddy was up against the fence. Frye got a little flat-footed trying to throw punches, and Big Daddy took him down. Mind you, Frye had Goodridge, had him up against the fence and threw a lot of punches. But once Goodridge got him down, it was now Big Daddy's turn to go ahead and unleash some fury. He threw numerous punches towards the Predator's head. Don Frye able to absorb those and continue. And eventually Frye worked himself off his back using his grappling skills, took Big Daddy Goodridge down. Goodridge, exhausted at this point, felt he could not defend himself, tapped out.
Well, in the fight that Goodridge lost to Frye in UFC 8, he came back to us, Jeff, and he said superior strength, superior attitude, superior mind, but I forgot about superior lungs. I'll never lose again because of conditioning. I think we just saw it happen again.
And I'll tell you what, I don't think the gi helps you. I think the gi hurts you because it keeps the heat in. Your body can't cool itself.
Let's move ahead. Tank Abbott against Cal Worsham. Quarterfinal number 3. The winner of this one, important to mention, will take on Steve Nelmark, who has replaced Ken Shamrock. There's the tail of the tape. Abbott, 43 pounds heavier. Both are Californians. Worsham, more of a striker. Abbott, the street fighter. It's the bad guy against the good guy. Street fighter against the Marine. Cal Worsham. Let's meet him. There's one word that describes Taekwondo instructor Cal Worsham: guts. Now Worsham is back, this time with more experience, strength, and stamina. He's proven his mettle in the octagon and deserves a spot in tonight's tournament. Can he stage the ultimate upset? Let's take a look. Cal Worsham, his last appearance in the octagon was at UFC 9. He defeated Zane Frazier. A tap out in 3 minutes and 17 seconds. You want to talk about courage, he's got it. His discipline is Taekwondo, also Realistic Fighting Techniques of America, RFTA, which is somewhat of a new one. He hunts deer, wild boar, pheasant, and turkey, and tonight he hunts the tank.
Worsham's discipline is a strong striking discipline from Taekwondo. Headhunter, in that clip earlier, you saw him hit Varelans with numerous punches. Expect the same. His ground fighting is limited, though he claims a background in jiu-jitsu.
So Cal Worsham says he will tame the tank. Let's see. Leading up to UFC 6, no one in the fight game had heard of DL Tank Abbott. But that changed in a dramatic 21 seconds, the time it took Tank to knock out his 400-pound opponent. Since then, it's been close, but no cigar, as Tank starts off with a bang, but always seems to run out of gas. Will he go the distance tonight, or will he end up in the pile of UFC wannabes? Let's watch as the Tank gets ready to roll. DL Abbott. The L stands for lawless. Out of Huntington Beach, California, his discipline is one of the most realistic. Street fighter. The American pit fighting heavyweight champion. Over 200 street fights. If he wasn't in the UFC tonight, he'd probably be getting in a fight in a bar.
Well, certainly he makes no bones about it. He's the barman's best friend. He says they have to have somebody to root for also. His discipline. He likes to box, has a history of wrestling, so he feels as though he can grapple with the very best. He's more of a street fighter than a disciplined fighter. The only question mark about Tank Abbott is his stamina.
So Tank has mustered up a full tank of steam and meat. He's also dropped weight. He's down to 273 from 298. We're set for the formal introductions. Manny Garcia will lead us through it.
Introducing first, and fighting out of Folsom, California, a black-collar certified instructor in the art of Taekwondo. He holds a second-degree black belt, a veteran of UFC 6 and UFC 9, with a record of 1-1 in the octagon, 33 years old, standing 5 feet 10 inches tall, and weighing 230 pounds, Cal Worsham. His opponent, the street fighter from Huntington Beach, California, 3-time UFC veteran with a record of 4 wins, 3 losses in the octagon. 31 years old, standing 6 feet tall, and weighing 273 pounds, Tank Abbott.
Here we go. Worsham, 4 years in the Marines, 3 years in the Army. Abbott, many years on the street. Tank is also looking for redemption from his loss to Scott Ferrozzo in the semifinals of UFC 11.
Here we go.
Says he wasn't in great shape for that one. It could have been a knee injury also, which bothered his training. A right hand by Worsham.
Worsham wants to trade punches with the Tank. Oh, and the Tank.
Let go of the top. Let go.
He didn't have him near that edge.
Worsham hanging out to the octagon. Look out!
Tank wants to throw him out of the octagon.
Worsham raining down punches. Tank takes him down.
We'll find out exactly what Worsham can do in the guard position. Tank likes to drive his opponents into the fence and then strike. He's past the guard now. Abbott has passed the guard. He's in a position now to knee to the side, elbow to the head, even knee to the head here based on the way Worsham is sprawled out. Oh, and if he knees him to the head, his head is up against that post. It's got nowhere to go.
Abbott showing a bit of patience here. Tank tried to be the first guy to throw somebody over the octagon. The wall is about 5'9".
Looked like Tank tried a submission hold there.
Tank reaches out. Worsham fights back with the right hand. Worsham, he doesn't have the shoes, so he can kick from the ground. Tank with the right hand.
Worsham seems confident enough here, and he's certainly displaying good defensive skills in the guard.
Tank misses. Good defense by Worsham. Worsham misses with his right hand.
Tank looks like he's trying to set up a one big punch.
Worsham showing a lot of poise here. But he's giving away a lot of weight.
He's certainly got the hands on Tank's face.
He's giving away 43 pounds. Tank's been unable to unleash that right hand. Worsham continues to move and continues to throw the right when he can.
You're gonna lose, Tank.
Tank looks a bit puzzled here.
Look at the eyes of Worsham. Very focused. Very tight. Look at him. He's very composed despite being on his back against Tank Abbott. He even uses a heel on his head.
Wait for your shot, Cal. You put some hurt on that boy.
Tank on top. Not doing much, though.
Take them ribs out, Cal.
But he is taking away the ability of Worsham to strike.
Oh, good right hand.
Landed, and John McCarthy ended it. Did he end it or did he separate it? Hold everything. I believe it's, let's see, it's a reset. And John McCarthy's in Worsham's face. Did he end it?
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Knock it off. I understand it's bullshit. It's bullshit, all right?
Disqualifying.
Hey, knock it off.
John, that was way late.
That's up to Art to disqualify. Knock it off.
Well, will you please go petition that?
Oh, you bet I will. Knock it off. Stay right there. Watch it. Understand that.
Tank wins. Tank is the winner.
He must have tapped out.
McCarthy ends it. We'll find out why in a moment. McCarthy is talking to Tank.
You know what I mean? I understand.
Don't know what happened here.
Tank obviously did something that upset McCarthy, but McCarthy called it off anyway.
It seemed as though it was a late strike by Abbott as they were separating. But I'm not sure why McCarthy stopped it. Either he felt Worsham was in trouble or Worsham tapped out. But Worsham doesn't even look like he's marked here.
I thought he may have stopped it on that big right hand.
Could have. But Cal was up and he looked like he was still ready to go. We'll have to get an explanation by McCarthy.
And you saw how vehemently upset Cal Worsham was. Worsham tapped out is the word. Worsham tapped out.
Well, it seemed as though there wasn't enough damage for the referee to start it. We got word that Worsham tapped out after the big right hand.
All right, let's take a look at the tap out, see if we can pick it up.
Abbott on top, Worsham in the guard trying to protect himself. And it was that big right hand there that Worsham went ahead and tapped. And right here you can see Abbott trying to come back in at him. And that is where the extracurricular activity took place.
That's what upset Worsham, but you know what happens a lot of times in these fights, Jeff, guys are in denial who tap. That may have happened here.
There's that big right coming up here.
That's a tap.
Yeah,
Left
we
hand,
saw it on his side.
left
Then the
hand.
big right hand came in. Then the right hand came in.
So Worsham was correct in his complaining that the right hand was thrown after the tap out had occurred.
But the Tank's defense, if McCarthy wasn't holding him, he didn't know something on his side is quite a tap.
Final quarterfinal bout. Kimo and Paul Varelans, the polar bear. Kimo, who has replaced Mark Coleman, who is out with a virus. Tail of the tape for this one will surprise you because Kimo is down to 235. Varelans is up to 340. What a big change there.
He told us 360 in the interview, and certainly looking at him, I can believe that. So Kimo now is actually facing an opponent over 100 pounds larger than he, and he no longer is that 280-pound monster that he was, but a really svelte 235 and looking tremendous shape.
Paul Varelans, the polar bear, is out of hibernation. Though he stands 6 feet 8 inches tall and weighs in at 300 pounds, Paul the Polar Bear Varelans continues to grow in the octagon. After intense competition in both UFC 6 and 8, it's a wiser, more experienced Varelans that enters tonight's tournament. The Polar Bear is clearly hungry for the title. He is the Rodney Dangerfield of the UFC, just doesn't get any respect. He's managed and trained by himself. He can't find anybody to work with. They all, he says, fear his ability to improve if he gets some technique.
Well, certainly you'd have to question the wisdom of wanting to get in there every day with this guy. His discipline, he is a striker. We have seen him use his elbows and his fists to the best advantage he can, but he has also been beaten by great grapplers on the ground and by Tank Abbott in his first one just by a mauling.
So the Polar Bear is 4-3 in the UFC. His last victory was over Joe Moreira in UFC 8, but he got injured and could not continue. He got a football scholarship to San Jose State, but eventually he hated the football scene and quit. His opponent comes in light, lean, and mean. Kimo. If you're looking for intensity, look no further than the man with one name, Kimo. He's the fighting zealot, a man of God who made history in the octagon. Back with more experience and more tattoos, Kimo hopes to harness his fury without compromising his faith. He has a gospel as bold as his tattoos. A missionary man on a bare-knuckle mission. Kimo, the Hawaiian fighting legend, who is down from 270 to 235. What an amazing transformation. He's gone from pancration to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he's got Joe Moreira in his corner, the man who last lost to Varelans. Isn't that intriguing?
Certainly is, and you wonder here whether Moreira is trying to go through Kimo to get back at Varelans, or whether he really felt that he could learn some knowledge from Moreira and go ahead and improve his ground fighting. He now lists grappling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but we've seen him be the big, powerful puncher looking for the head. Let's see how much he has learned. He didn't want to expound on it in his interview, Bruce. He said, hey, we don't need to talk about it. We'll show it to him.
So it's Varelans against Kimo.
Introducing first, returning to the octagon, a four-time veteran with a record of 4-3, UFC 7 runner-up, a master in the hybrid art of freestyle fighting, 27 years old, standing 6 feet 8 inches tall, and weighing in at 340 pounds, fighting out of San Jose, California. You know him as the Polar Bear, Paul Varelans. His opponent, a UFC legend, representing the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a veteran of UFC 3, and a super fight contender in UFC 8. 28 years old, standing 6 feet 1 inch tall, and weighing in at 235 pounds, fighting out of Waianae, Hawaii, the man with one name, Kimo.
So it's Varelans against Kimo. Kimo has learned grappling. Let's see if he can employ it. The Polar Bear is 105 pounds heavier than Kimo.
Minimal.
Kimo has lost to Royce Gracie and Ken Shamrock.
Here we go. Are you ready?
Both
Are you
by
ready?
submission
Let's get it
holds.
on.
Varelans is not a submission expert. Kimo goes right for the leg. He's looking for a submission hold of his own. Now Varelans landing a left hand.
Varelans doing a good job. You want to turn with the opponent, continue to sprawl and keep your balance. You don't want the opponent to get up too tall on you. You want to continue to put the weight down and on. And Kimo doing a great job of trying to wrestle with the big man. He's obviously spent some time in the grappling world there. That was what we call a high crotch in wrestling, and he executed it very well despite getting hit by the Polar Bear.
Polar Bear is known for this, raining down elbows. There's another one. He's a big man. If you don't take him out, he can do damage.
And you're looking at a 235-pounder pushing a 350-pounder into the fence.
Keep working.
A minute in, Kimo looking for the trip.
A whizzer by Varelans, another wrestling move to control the opponent. It's his arm overhooking the other arm of his opponent there.
Varelans misses.
Oh, good single leg attempt. Unable to finish.
That's the weight, Jeff.
But he's doing the right kinds of things to take the big guy down. He just can't get it finished. Varelans' balance just a little too good. Intriguing battle. The little man trying to wrestle the big man.
Time once was when Kimo was the big man. Kimo again looking for a trip.
It's hard to trip a man into a fence. I don't understand that tactic. Varelans punches and even his elbows, those are slaps. Those aren't even punches.
Let's go. Back out. Why were they standing in the center of the ring? Get in the middle. Kick his ass.
Varelans landing a right hand again. Kimo continues to work for a trip. Varelans trying a headbutt. That doesn't work. We've seen Varelans in some classic battles like the one against Marco Ruas, finals of UFC 7.
Kimo doing a masterful job of keeping the big man up against the fence and upright, not letting him really curl his body at all to generate power in those really slap kind of punches. And Varelans hasn't used that big elbow down on the back of Kimo.
Kimo tries to toss him, but Varelans ends up right on top.
That might have been a bad maneuver for Kimo. I'm not sure he wanted to be in the down position here. Varelans leaning on him hard with that big forearm.
Now we'll see if Kimo can show the patience of the jiu-jitsu world. He's trained with Brazilian Joe Moreira. And jiu-jitsu means patience.
Something that Royce Gracie made famous in the UFC.
It also means skill.
Well, without a doubt, you've got to be proficient at it.
But Varelans is a big man.
Oh, good shots right there.
Kimo trying to deflect those blows, but Varelans scores.
Oh, looking for the arm lock. Varelans left his arm there, and he tried to get the arm lock going.
Got it free.
Varelans is so big.
Kimo fighting back. It's Varelans' strength right now.
And he's passing the test. When Kimo brings his leg up, you want to throw it by in front of you, but what that does is wrap it around your other arm, the arm you're posting with. Oh, that you could feel right through the floor.
Varelans getting a right hand through. Look at Kimo's strength. He's holding onto those wrists and neutralizing him right now. It's got to take a lot out of you, Jeff.
Kimo's cut and bleeding from his left eye.
It's above the left eye.
And way into the corner, so it probably won't affect his vision too bad.
Put it on his head!
To put it simply, Varelans is a load.
Come on, Kimo! Come on, Kimo!
Kimo again trying to deflect those punches.
Those punches are slow, not a lot of power in them, and highly inaccurate. Varelans needs to set up. There's a good one. You can hear the head and the floor of the octagon thump with that blow.
There's Dennis Leopoldo. Kimo's dead. Crowd starts to chant Kimo. That's the lack of respect that Varelans is talking about. Left hand to the midsection by Varelans. Kimo lands from the ground. Kimo's got to move, though. He cannot do well here, Jeff, unless he can pull some kind of submission hold off.
That's what I think he's trying to do. He's trying to bait Varelans into a position to leave his arm behind and go ahead and hit him. You were talking about no respect. Well, he's 4-3 in the UFC. A winning record with good experience.
You're right, his losses are to Abbott, Ruas, and Severn, a pretty impressive group. Another right hand, Varelans.
You wonder if he went ahead and kneed him hard in the thigh, kneed him hard in the side, anything here to improve upon those strikes. Those strikes you can see coming. He winds up, you know it's coming down. He's using his forearm and his elbow now, saving his hands. But that big forearm across the throat seemed to pay some dividends early.
And the optimal word is big. And since it is the ultimate, it's big, big. Kimo showing patience, though. He knows there's a 3-minute overtime at the end of 12 minutes. But he would have to absorb a lot of punishment.
Yeah, we're approaching 7 minutes now, and they started really hard. They were wrestling, and I'll tell you, when you wrestle that hard so quickly early, that's an anaerobic rush. At this point in time, fatigue is going to be a huge factor. Kimo on his back is in a defensive mode, doesn't have to carry his weight, is using mainly energy to deflect punches. Varelans, however, is winding up, using a lot of body and trying to be offensive, but getting frustrated. And I'm a firm believer that when you try offense and continually get frustrated, it's a lot easier to become fatigued.
Kimo recently has come off 3 wins in Japan since the summer. The last one was over Bam Bam Bigelow, who was similar to Varelans in terms of weight and size.
Kimo has an opportunity here to slide out. Varelans got high. Varelans is high. Kimo can slide to the side. You see him trying to do it.
Better distribution of weight, though, by Varelans.
Yes, it is, but I thought there that if he didn't run into the fence, he might have had an opportunity if he went all at once to try to scoot his hips out. The polar bear looks tired.
And that could catch up with him.
Even if he was to win this, boy, his fans were up near the face there. Even if he is to win this, you question, can Varelans come back and have enough juice to perform well?
Let's go, let's go.
Kimo on the bottom. Paul the Polar Bear Varelans on the top. Quarterfinal number 4, the ultimate. The winner gets Don Frye.
Spacing so important here, and Varelans returning to try to strike Kimo's head.
And he struck effectively because he struck right where the cut was.
And there goes Kimo now. Looking to try to get away. The big man laying on his side.
Varelans looks tired.
Varelans, if I were Varelans and I could hang on here, I'd just stay where I am. Don't lose good position. And hopefully you can get a break back to the feet, but he's not going to have that opportunity.
Kimo with the
Kimo now in great position.
Look out, Varelans can tap here. Kimo with a right, another right. A plethora of rights and it's over. McCarthy stops the fight.
What a fight.
Tremendous performance by Kimo, who looks exhausted. Absolutely exhausted. There's Kimo's dad celebrating. Dennis Leopoldo. 9:09 is the time of the fight. For Kimo, a tremendous performance of will and skill, of style and guile.
Well, we were talking about fatigue, and both of these warriors are spent. Kimo is victorious, but you can see the way he's walking right now. He is a spent warrior, and he needs to get back and get some rest here, but he took advantage. He hung in there. He had guts, and when he finally was able to reverse the big polar bear, he was able to take a piece of him with tremendous strikes to the head.
Crowd chanting Kimo as John McCarthy puts his hand up. He puts his arm up in recognition. So Kimo has moved on. 9:09. He wins as the referee stops the fight. Wow, what an ending.
It certainly was a great fight. And fatigue had everything to do with the outcome.
Great effort by Varelans as well.
It's hard to tell who won this fight as they make their way back to the locker room area.
McCarthy's one of the few guys big enough to help Varelans get back to the dressing room. 9:09. Wow. Let's watch the reversal, Jeff.
Well, this is when it all started to change for Big Paul Varelans. He was in this mounted position for some time, but was unable to take out Kimo. And he eventually started to settle his weight, plant his knees, and when you go ahead and do that and take your toes off the mat, you get rolled. And right there, Kimo able to start to turn the corner. He would continue to work here, and once he got on top, he threw right hands repeatedly, and they took the toll on the polar bear. And there, Varelans had the corner throw the towel in, and a happy Dennis Leopoldo, Kimo's father, celebrates with his son.
So here's the way the bracket unfolds right now. Shamrock was a winner over Brian Johnston at 5:49. The forearm choke, the submission technique, forced to tap out. But Shamrock is replaced by Steve Nelmark, who won earlier tonight as an alternate. Cal Worsham and Tank Abbott hooked up, and Abbott won with a tap out at 2:52. So Nelmark now meets Abbott in the top part of the bracket. Bottom part of the bracket, Don Frye winning on a tap out. Tremendous late reversal there. 11-20. Goodridge was exhausted. So Frye advanced, and Kimo with another tremendous comeback with his late reversal. Referee John McCarthy stops that bout at 9:09. So that sets up semifinal number 2.
Two great semifinals. Nelmark now 2-0 in UFC competition, taking on the Tank. Should be a pretty good opportunity for Tank to reach the finals. And Frye Kimo, what a fight that should be. I'm hoping Kimo isn't too exhausted and has sustained no injuries, and hopefully he will be there.
Well, coming up Friday, February 7th, 1997, it is Judgment Day. Dan Severn will be there. Scott Ferrozzo will be there. It should be a tremendous night of fighting. We'll talk more about that later. Right now, let's go back to Tony Blauer.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Big John. John, tell us a little bit about the last fight.
Oh, last fight was Kimo tried to take Paul down. That's a big, heavy man. He's honestly about 370 to 380 pounds. He's trying to lift that up. It's hard. He finally went to a position of the guard where he felt comfortable. He was taking a lot of shots, and basically it's that Paul wore himself out. And when he started getting really tired, he started making mistakes, and Kimo was finally able to turn him because of it. And then he started hitting him, and Paul wasn't able to respond to getting punched. He wasn't able to stop what was happening, so I stopped it.
You got a hard job in there, and you're sweating as much as the fighters. Let's talk about the Worsham fight for a second.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you. A lot of boos from the crowd. They didn't see the tap out. Why don't you tell us what you could see? You're right in there, right on top of the guys.
It's understandable. If they think that I'm stopping, I understand why they're mad, but Cal Worsham tapped out. That's the only reason I stopped the fight. He was mad because he felt the Tank cheap shot at him afterwards. I understand that, and that's what he was upset with.
Thank you, John. Good luck the rest of the night. Back to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Tony Blauer. So Steve Nelmark, Tank Abbott, our first semifinal just ahead. Nelmark advanced with a victory over Marcus Bossett in the alternate bout, which transpired earlier tonight. Jeff, let's go back for a moment and first look at Nelmark's takedown of the grasshopper Marcus Bossett.
Nelmark feels as though he can control the situation even on the ground. Went right in with the double leg, dropped Bossett, assumed the guard, and there he started those repeated headbutts. Certainly that had to have an effect on Bossett to go ahead and let go of the arms, and once he went ahead and did that, Nelmark applied that choke. And finds himself in the semifinals, Bruce.
And here's a look at the upcoming tale of the tape. Nelmark against Tank Abbott. It's karate against street fighting. Both are 31. Nelmark's a big guy. He's 250. He's very rugged. He's proven himself worthy in the octagon thus far. Height the same, one from Michigan, one from California. And remember, it's a well-rested Nelmark who won in just 1:37 over Marcus Bossett. And the way that the Ultimate Fighting Championship works, if a fighter cannot continue, an alternate takes his place in the spot where he was last. Therefore, Nelmark begins now in the semifinals. He did prove himself, however, in battle the way Steve Jenham did. Jenham won UFC 3 as an alternate. Well, here comes Steve Nelmark. From Allen Park, Michigan, now Livonia, Michigan. An amateur kickboxing competitor, 7-0 as a pro kickboxer. His home gym, the American Karate Training Center in Livonia, Michigan. He used to train with U.S. kick heavyweight champion Scott Pearl. Started fighting at age 19, a fascination for the martial arts game. He grew up in the era of Kung Fu and Bruce Lee. So Nelmark comes in with a record of 2-0. He beat Ty Bowden in UFC 9, which was the bout card. He was an alternate there, and he won earlier tonight over Marcus Bossett.
He's got skill. He's got tools. It's just he hasn't met the top flight competition yet. Tank is one of those.
So once again, a look at the bracket and the way it unfolds right now. Steve Nelmark goes in there against Big Tank Abbott, coming in as an alternate. Don Frye meets Kimo if Kimo is able to come back. Jeff, it goes back to the point we talked about earlier. It's attrition.
Certainly is, and Shamrock found out again that when you punch people's heads, particularly in the side, you can break your hand. And Nelmark finds himself in the opportunity of a lifetime.
Here comes Tank Abbott, a man with a serious appetite for destruction. In much better shape than he was in the last UFC. In great position here to advance to the finals. 273 pounds, lighter, more poised. Didn't like his performance against Scott Ferrozzo.
He also claims he had a bad knee, and we all thought that something had to be wrong with Tank, where he just really didn't try anything. He just hung on to a fence, but he endured the full fight despite losing.
It's a good point, because remember, his losses are to Taktarov, 17-47, a choke, unanimous decision loss to Severn, unanimous decision loss to Ferrozzo. Here's Manny Garcia.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first semifinal fight. Making his second appearance at 6 feet, 250 pounds, fighting out of Livonia, Michigan, the Sandman, Steve Nelmark. His opponent standing 6 feet tall, weighing 273 pounds, Tank Abbott.
So we're set to go. Tank Abbott against Steve Nelmark. Semifinal number 1 of the Ultimate 96. Nelmark in as an alternate, replacing Ken Shamrock, who broke his right hand.
Are you ready? Let's get it on!
Here we go.
Tank straight ahead. Nelmark landed, but Tank sent him into the octagon wall.
I don't know if Nelmark wants to wrestle with Tank Abbott. Abbott.
Whoa! Oh, body slam by the Tankster.
Keep working it.
Tank has shown us some strength tonight, picking up both opponents.
He's also got his head trapped in there. And this is where Taktarov choked him out, was with that guillotine.
Tank ferocious, landing blows. Nelmark can't see to throw a punch. Tank all over him.
Oh, he's in trouble.
Nelmark is in trouble. It's all Tank right now. Nelmark doesn't defend himself soon. McCarthy may step in.
Oh, that's it.
Down right
Oh, that's
Nelmark.
it.
A knockout. Oh,
Get him
my.
off the fence. Oh, a punishing shot by Abbott.
A devastating right hand. Hopefully Nelmark is okay.
Go.
Wow.
The winner of the first
that
semifinal
ferocious?
fight, Tank Abbott.
Our concern right now is for Steve Nelmark. Abbott landed a bomb with the right hand. Nelmark is getting excellent medical attention. Dr. Richard Istrigo, Dr. Stephen Goodman, Dr. Joel Koopman are all there with Nelmark.
He took a big shot from Abbott. Abbott controlled the fight from the start. Nelmark looked like he wanted to dance and keep his distance, and then rushed Abbott. Abbott has a strong grappling background, repelled it, went ahead, took his own shot, slammed Nelmark, and then started a fury of punches that ended with a devastating right hand.
Nelmark is on his knees. Leon Tabbs, the fabled cut man, who has been in the game for over 30 years, is attending to him now. Nelmark is okay. He's on his knees, hunched in the corner, and getting attention.
Yeah, he's responding to the doctors. I mean, it was a classic knockout. His knees just dropped out from under him, and because he was against the fence, he arced back in really kind of a deformed position, but he's okay on his feet. But Abbott, quick fight, he's going to be fresh for the finals.
Tank, a minute 5 of destruction with the right hand, the knockout of Steve Nelmark. Jeff?
Well, without a doubt, Tank is in an envious position here. Both his fights were short. You can look at how once he got into Nelmark's leg, Nelmark is trying to get a choke, but oh, what a slam. Directly on the shoulders, could have knocked the wind out of him, but Nelmark held tough. And then he took a series of punches on his way to the corner, this fence shot, and there, that right hand, you saw the knees drop right out from under the one. Watch again here. Such a potent right hand, the Tank throws, and bang, out go the knees, into the fence he goes, and he's out right there. Abbott, your victor. And Abbott, again, great position in this tournament. He hasn't spent a lot of energy. He should be ready to go in the finals. We should see a Tank with a full fuel tank. This point, let's go to Bruce Beck. He is with Scott Ferrozzo.
Thank you very much, Jeff Scott, the man from Shakopee, Minnesota, who was so impressive in the last UFC, defeating David Tank Abbott. Are you frustrated you're not here at the Ultimate?
You know, I am so upset. There ain't any reason why I shouldn't be in there whooping Tank Abbott again.
Would you have gone down in a minute 5?
You know what? I ain't gonna ever crumble under another punch again. Never.
What about the concept, Scott? You've got to prove yourself to earn your right into the Ultimate.
Well, look at Dave Abbott. He's in the finals.
He's been a finalist in a UFC, young man.
Yeah, but I can crush him. Doesn't matter. Don't matter to me who I come across. I only want the best to fight me. I can do it, and everybody knows it. And that's why I'm not in this tonight, because they know that I'm going to spoil things around here. They don't want me in here. They want all these pretty boys in here, but they know somebody that's intelligent can come in here that is pretty like me, can come in here and spoil the UFC. I'm the guy that they should have put in here, and they know it, and they don't even want to talk to me down here.
You were clearly out of shape in your first loss to Jerry Bolander.
I don't want to talk about Jerry Bolander. I'm so far beyond.
It's history, Scott.
It's not, yeah, exactly. It's history, so let's never bring it up again.
All right, what about the Tank battle? How do you explain your victory there?
I was ready. I wanted Tank. You know, Tank had a big reputation. He's a great fighter. He doesn't have no quit in him, but it doesn't matter. I beat Tank. I should be here, and everybody knows it. Listen to him. 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 I should be here, and they know I should be here.
Pitbull, you get your chance in February. Don't keep moving over here.
I'll get my chance in February. I want their best guy. Whoever wins this, they're going to fight Dan Severn. I'll be there, and I'll be ready to kick some butt.
You'll have to go into a main draw before you get a guy like Severn. You've got to prove yourself.
Yeah, I'll prove myself. It doesn't matter. I'll prove myself. I can do it in here. I know it. They know it, and that's why they don't want me in here tonight, because they don't want to get somebody a chance like me that's smart, can talk, to come in here and take all their money.
A bit cocky, a bit arrogant, wouldn't you say?
Hey, well, you know, we're all the best.
What's with the shades?
Hey, these aren't shades, these are eyewear.
All right, Scott, don't push me again. Good luck, man.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're getting set for the next semifinal. You can see the reaction of Ferrozzo. He says the women love him, but he's married to the lovely Joanne, but still, he flirts and he talks a good game. We'll see how good of a fighter he is in February, folks. Coming up next, Mark Hall is in. He replaces Kimo to take on the Predator, Don Frye. So once again, Kimo could not advance. He won in 9 minutes and 9 seconds over Varelans. We talked about the injury to the eye. We don't have a confirmation that that's the reason he cannot advance. It could be exhaustion. It could be dehydration. But it will be Mark Hall against the Predator, Don Frye. And Hall, a veteran of the UFC, who's got lots of experience, and he comes into this fight certainly ready for battle. The question is, does he have the power to deal with Frye? He's only 189 pounds. Here's the tail of the tape for this upcoming battle in semifinal number 2, with the winner to take on David Tank Abbott. It's the wrestler against Mu Ye-Do. Hall a bit older. Frye usually the guy who's smaller. In this case, he's 28 pounds bigger. Both men are 6 feet. One is from Sierra Vista, Arizona, and a UFC champion in the past. That's UFC 8. Mark Hall, a UFC wannabe champion from Murrieta, California. One thing about Hall, who won earlier tonight as an alternate, you know he'll always give you his guts. He'll give you his all. Question is, does he have the size to compete with the Predator, Don Frye? The one thing he has in his favor is the fact that Frye had to go 11 minutes and 20 seconds to beat Gary Goodridge. So the question is, how much does Frye have back? Jeff Blatnick, your thoughts?
Well, certainly Frye Hall is a matchup we've seen before. Frye able to win that, though it took the full distance of the match. He went ahead and was in the mounted position and struck Hall's ribs until they were black and blue. But Hall here's a little bit fresher perhaps than Frye. Didn't fight as long in his alternate fight to earn the right to get into the main draw. But a Frye-Hall combination, two smaller guys, pretty quick action. Frye, tremendous grappler. Hall, we've seen him strike very, very well.
Here comes Mark Hall. From Murrieta, California, born in Detroit. He is 4-2 in the UFC. He's been in 5 UFCs. His losses to Paul Varelans and Don Frye. He was a winner earlier tonight when Felix Mitchell tapped out in 2 minutes and 19 seconds. So Hall has already proven himself in battle.
Certainly has. He's earned the right to be in here. We've seen him a number of times on the UFC, and each time he's been on there, he has given his very, very best, and he has given great fights.
Here comes the Predator, Don Frye. He won a brilliant fight in a comeback over Gary Goodridge. 11 minutes and 20 seconds in his quarterfinal, but he's had time to recover. The word on Kimo, dehydration, unable to continue. So in his place comes Mark Hall. And Jeff Hall gave Frye a heck of a fight the last time in UFC 10.
He certainly did. Frye could not take out Hall. Hall took everything he could have. Of course, his left side of his rib cage looked like a hamburger. It was all black and blue, but Frye run a unanimous decision.
Right now, let's go up to our Octagon announcer, Manny Garcia.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to injury, Kimo is unable to continue. Replacing him, a 35-year-old, 6 foot, 185-pound, with a record of 3-2 in the Octagon, fighting of Murrieta, California, Mark Hall. His opponent, 31 years old, 6 feet 1 inch tall, weighing in at 217 pounds, with a record of 6-1 in the Octagon. Please welcome the Predator, Don Frye.
So it's Mark Hall against Don Frye. The winner gets Tank Abbott. Hall in tremendous shape. He's just smaller.
He is just a little small. Sometimes it seems to take on some of these, 50-pound heavier opponents who are equally skilled. So this will be a tough challenge for Hall. Again, though, it's a chance at redemption. He has an opportunity to beat a man who has beaten him. We'll see if he has learned the lesson of the Octagon.
Managed by Robert DePersia, trained by himself. The Cobra, Mark Hall, against the Predator, Don Frye. Frye would like to get this over, if he can, quickly. Takedown by Frye. He's got the superior grappling skills. And he's looking for a submission. Hall fighting it off.
Oh, he's in trouble.
He got him. Frye knew what he wanted to do, did it quickly.
He might have hurt the leg, too. Frye went after him.
Hall's in a great deal of pain.
Stay right there. Good job. Good job. Stay right there.
Boy, it happened that quick. Frye doing his homework with submission locks. Able to tie Hall up right away. Sinks him down to the ground with a double leg. And then immediately slaps on a submission hold.
20 seconds, that's all it took.
Of the second semi-final fight, Don Frye.
They're looking over Hall's ankle closely here.
Hey, Frye, the last time they fought was striking. This time he just went in there. I guess the time is the thing that he worried about most. He wants to get rest, save his energy for Tank. He just quickly did one submission work.
Hall,
Good job, Don.
Hall was up against a tremendous grappler in Frye. He came out swinging. Frye ducked it. Immediately went to the body and just crushed him over backwards. And then once he landed, he wanted separation. Hall was looking for strike, but instead Frye was going to stand up and grab that ankle. And right there, he's looking to thread his own leg between Hall's. And once he does it, he'll go to his own back and then go ahead and lock it tight. And once he locks it, you want to arch, and he'll wind up rolling to his right side, and that's when he finishes. Right there, Hall is grimacing. He is in pain. He can't take it. He needs to tap out to prevent injury.
Ankle lock submission. Frye the winner. Frye against Abbott for the championship.
Could be, you have two bones in your lower leg from the knee to the ankle. You have your tibia, the main. Tremendous pain, you know, Hall was in there. You can't, it's bone on bone, and he might have actually broken his fibula. It could be, because that's the small thin bone that runs along the outside of your leg down to your ankle. Either way, Hall lost by submission. The winner, Frye, won quickly, and that's going to help him in the finals.
And there's a little feel for the UFC. Polar Bear Paul Varelans, who was carried out earlier by John McCarthy, comes back and helps carry out Mark Hall. So there's the spirit, the camaraderie of the martial artist.
Oh, without a doubt, there is a brotherhood to this Warriors, a fraternal order, just like the sport of wrestling. I can go anywhere in the world and find friendship among the sport of wrestling and the people that compete in it. Likewise in the martial arts, and particularly here at the UFC, the fighting style, these people have honor, and they respect each other and they help each other. In fact, some of them even train together.
Well, we talked a little bit earlier about Judgment Day. It is coming up in February. It should be a tremendous show. The date is Friday, February 7th, 1997. We will be in Niagara Falls, New York, and there will be a unification bout. Dan the Beast Severn taking on the winner of the Ultimate 96. It should be one heck of a fight. First of all, that fight, and then secondly, a two-pronged part of that program. We'll have a heavyweight and super heavyweight division, fighters under 200 pounds, fighters over 200 pounds, two four-man tournaments as we begin to allow the little guy the opportunity to flourish and prove his skills in a situation where he's not giving away 100 pounds.
Certainly the super heavyweights have dominated this field. Frye is just over 200 pounds, and he's a guy on the bubble. He could probably go either way. But I like the idea of unifying the title. I like the idea of having a champion. And Severn will meet the winner of this and be crowned the champion, and now that gives us order. He's the top dog. Everybody will be gunning for whoever wins next time and wins the belt.
And Ferrozzo can talk all he wants, but he's not getting a shot at the unification belt. He still has to prove himself in battle, and that means winning a UFC-style tournament. Now, have you ever watched the UFC and wonder how to get in on the action or maybe learn how to fight UFC style? Now's your chance. The Ultimate Fighting Alliance, the sanctioning body for the UFC, is now accepting new members. There's two ways to join. As a registered charter member, you can get an official UFA jacket or gi patch, ID card, and member certificate, or as a registered combat athlete, which also gets you entered in the UFA's worldwide database of fighters. So for those of you interested in pursuing UFC-style training, call 800-525-6465. That's 800-525-6465 for the UFA. Let's take a look right now at how Tank Abbott advanced to the finals of Ultimate 96. In his first fight, victorious over Cal Worsham.
And Cal came out swinging, and Tank was able to drop, get to the legs of Worsham, drive him into the fence, and then he hoisted him up in the air, and he actually tried to throw him out of the octagon. But then once he got on top, he was able to connect with some strikes. Worsham tapped out, and here's the second fight en route to that final performance. Another stunning double leg takedown, slamming Nelmark down to the ground, and then the punch. That says it all right there. The knees buckle, and he is out. Abbott, hands of stone, firing big missiles, able to make it here in the Ultimate, and now in a position to really be crowned the champ and go for the belt in February.
It's unbelievable, because I said to Tank the other day, are you at a crossroads? Do you have to prove something here, or are you history? And he said, no, I'll just fight forever.
And he's certainly showing us what he's capable of here tonight with his skills.
Tank takes on the Predator, Don Frye, in the championship. Frye had a very difficult first match and a very impressive come-from-behind victory over Gary Goodridge in 11 minutes and 20 seconds. It ended with Goodridge exhausted, but here's the beginning, Jeff.
Well, he got taken down by Goodridge after pinning him up against the fence and hitting him a bunch, and Goodridge doing some damage of his own, hitting Frye with a number of shots to the head. But eventually, Goodridge would fatigue, and Frye would have an opportunity to get out from the bottom, reassert his grappling prowess, take Goodridge down, and at this point, Goodridge is exhausted. Frye starts to move up, and Goodridge has been here before, taking the punishment from Frye when he lost in Puerto Rico, and he taps out. The Predator, Don Frye, looking for redemption, will have that opportunity. He went after Mark Hall, a replacement for Kimo. And immediately Frye takes him down. He has fought Hall before, knew he didn't want to get in a punching battle. It didn't work last time. And here it changes off to a submission lock on Hall's left leg, and you can see the pain that Hall's in. He taps out immediately. Frye able to end the fight quickly, as Abbott did. This should be a great final.
Judgment Day, Friday, February 7th. The winner of the upcoming battle between the Tank and the Predator takes on the Beast. And in layman's terms, what that means is the winner of the Tank Abbott Don Frye match meets Dan Severn. And Jeff, your thoughts on Dan Severn heading to Judgment Day on February 7th, 1997, a guy who has proved it so many times in the octagon.
Well, without a doubt, Severn has had tremendous success here in the octagon. We actually were born together into the UFC way back when. We actually wrestled together way back when. And Dan, as I know from the past and as I know from what I've seen of him here at the UFC, is a true competitor. He works extremely hard. He's extremely knowledgeable with technique and strategy. And most of all, the Beast has got some heart.
So Dan the Beast Severn looking forward to that unification bout coming up in Niagara Falls, New York on February 7th. And Dan is a guy who at every level of wrestling competition has been a winner, a champion, a guy who actually fought on the dirt floors of Cuba. Yesterday, Jeff Blatnick had an opportunity to talk to Dan about the early days of wrestling and the success he has enjoyed.
Dan, how did you find the sport of wrestling? Was it a family affair?
Well, family affair, I would say, is more or less because Mom and Dad said, get the heck out of the living room and get out in the backyard. We kind of broke up a little bit of the furniture, and they're watching professional wrestling and that. But Dad said, why don't you guys take this on to a more competitive level instead of just tearing up the furniture into the living room?
Well, it makes a lot of sense. I'm a middle boy, and I went through the same kind of thing. You said your brothers wrestled. You were a high school state champion. What did you do with your high school state championship? Where did you go?
Well, basically, I was able to utilize the success of my tools, and it enabled me to go on to Arizona State University. You know, I ended up leaving Montrose, the high school is what I went to. I mean, ended up graduating with being a two-time high school state champion, setting 8 national high school records, winning 2 national titles, and from there, I mean, it made me one of the premier blue-chip wrestlers on the collegiate scene.
And you had an outstanding freshman year, and then you faced an injury.
34-0, 24 pins, pinning 5 out of the 6 NCAA place finishers that year. I was destined to be the NCAA champion when, yes, a knee injury is what stopped it all.
And then you came back from that injury, and that's when our paths crossed. 1977, Junior World Championship team. You were a gold medalist. How did that experience affect you?
What year was that, 1977?
It was 1977, man.
And we're still doing this?
And you're still doing this, yes.
Wow. To be involved and being the first truly international experience to be involved with. And, you know, when you watch the Olympics on television, you know, there's no greater sensation than to be standing on that podium and to have the American flag rising up behind you and hearing the national anthem being played. I mean, it chokes me up even to think about it even right now. That's the greatest sensation ever.
Well, certainly thoughts of at that young age must have started to turn towards Olympics.
Oh yeah, I had aspirations even as a senior in high school. It's just something that the ultimate thing you could possibly ever do was to be an Olympic gold medalist. And so that was what my goals were set there. I didn't know how I was going to achieve it, but it was just one of those dreams.
And then came post-college. How did you, one, survive to train, and two, tell us about your Olympic trial experiences?
Ooh, that's an emotional roller coaster right there. First, as your collegiate career finished, I was on the coaching scene. I coached at Arizona State University for 5 years. I coached at Michigan State University for 3 years. So I'd gone in the coaching ranks. I'd done the best I could possibly do as a coach. I was coaching on the Division I level. But I was looking for anywhere that I could go that I could make some kind of income and still continue to hone my skills to try to make myself better to where someday I may realize the true benefits of all these years of labor out there. And, it's job after job, and whatever it would take.
And then the Olympic trials. What happened at the Olympic trials?
Runner-up.
Both times?
84 and 88. Runner-up capacity.
And how did you feel about what happened to you in 84?
Wow, that's kind of like opening up old wounds is what it's doing to me. To be so close, to work so hard, and then to miss it. And that's a hard thing to accept. But it's at the same token, I think those are the things that have fueled me to continue, because I went to achieve this goal. It passed me by, so I'm still out there, still going after it, still aspiring to make that dream.
In 1994, our paths would cross again. Me as a first-time commentator, you as a first-time fighter in an event known as the Ultimate Fighting Championship. First of all, what was your impression of the event? And secondly, how did you rate yourself as a fighter?
Well, Jeff, I think I'd rather have had your job at that time, coming into it. But, watching the UFC, we're only 3 shows prior to that. UFC 4 is what I'm coming into it right now. I studied the competitors, and I'm a very realistic person. I sit down there, pencil, paper. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How do those strengths and weaknesses stack up to the current field of competitors that are out there? I felt I could do all right for myself, but there's always that unknown in the back of one's mind of, am I getting into something way over my head? I didn't know, but I had the competitor's heart. I pursued this, and, I've been hanging in there okay.
I'd say you've been doing better than okay. You've had a huge impact in the fighting world. And let's take a look at some of the impressions you've had at the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
A man who stands out as a true champion among champions, Dan Severn came to the octagon with no bare-knuckle fighting experience, but quickly adapted his superior wrestling skills to do what no other fighter has ever done before: win the UFC's Triple Crown. He's the UFC 6 champion, the Ultimate 95 champion, and the reigning Super Fight champion. Any way you cut it, the Beast, Dan Severn, is the master of the octagon. Well, there's a look at the Beast, Dan Severn, who we've spoken to at length tonight. Got a little bit of his background from Jeff, the two of them looking so different in their younger days. And there's the Beast displaying his wares to the crowd. He was the Ultimate Champion last year. $150,000 he won, and $150,000 to the winner of tonight. And the winner of tonight gets Severn in February in Niagara Falls, New York. Here's the finals. We're getting set. Tank Abbott looking for his first ever UFC title against the Predator, Don Frye, who looked like he might not even be able to get out of the quarterfinals. Jeff, let's take a look at the tale of the tape between these two combatants.
Well, Abbott obviously a street fighter. Don Frye, strong background in wrestling. Both are 31 years in age. Abbott obviously has about 50 pounds on Don Frye. They're both 6 foot tall. Abbott from California, Frye from Arizona. And as I take a look at this, I'm looking at a street fighter, raw ability against a refined fighter. Great skill. This really is a contrast
in opponents.
Many have said that Frye might be the most multi-dimensional athlete we've ever had in the octagon.
Well, we've seen him kick, we've seen him submit, and we've seen him punch, and of course, we've seen him wrestle.
Here comes Tank Abbott, who had a suspension earlier this year for insubordination. An octagon side incident in Puerto Rico, but now it is Tank who has built up that head of steam and mean. A devastating puncher who had a knockout tonight, which certainly confirmed that he is worthy of being in the Ultimate, Jeff.
Oh, big right hand. We've always known Tank had dynamite in that right hand, and he dropped Nelmark big time. Abbott's discipline is simple. I like to fight. Street, octagon, it doesn't matter. Good wrestling background. Obviously, great punching power. No intimidation factor whatsoever. He just enjoys fighting, and he loves to hit people in the head. We've seen that, Bruce.
So Tank Abbott is into the championship, and having only been in the octagon tonight, 2:52 in the quarters, 1:05 in the semis. Let's bring out the Predator, Don Frye. He is 8-1 in the octagon. Tonight, an amazing comeback over Gary Goodridge in the quarterfinal. A quick submission over Mark Hall in the semis. So he's been victorious, one long bout, one short one. He's been a champion before. He defeated Gary Goodridge in UFC 8, his only loss to the impressive Mark Coleman, who could not be here tonight. Very disappointed because of a virus. You know he wanted to be here. You know we wanted to see him.
He lost a big opportunity here to face a big challenge, answer any critics' doubts that he may not be worthy of an Ultimate, or may not be the best fighter in the UFC, and that's going to cost him. He's going to have to get in line now for the belt.
We are set to go for the Ultimate Championship. Here's Manny Garcia.
Birmingham, Alabama, are you ready for the finals of the Ultimate 96? I can't hear you. Are you ready? Let's get it on. Introducing first, standing to my left, 31 years old, 6 feet tall, and weighing 273 pounds, Tank Abbott. His opponent standing to my right, 31 years old, 6 feet, 1 inch tall, the Predator, Don Frye.
It is clear you've got Frye, who's better on the ground, Abbott, who's better on his feet. It's striker against grappler. And this is it for $150,000. Jesse Reed, the boxing trainer, well known around the country in North America and the world, is in Tank's corner. And you could tell that he learned some punching from Jesse with that knockout destruction. Don Frye's got Becky Levi in his corner. He's managed by Dan Severn. His consultant is Steve Owen. We are set to go for the championship. 15-minute time limit, 2 3-minute overtimes. These two have never met before. John McCarthy has the honors.
This is what it's for. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's get it on!
We're underway, and they just walk towards each other in the center.
Here it is, the most intense bare-knuckle combat anywhere on the planet.
Oh! Tank hit him with a left straight to the head. It was really like a jab, but boy, did it floor Frye. He did it again.
Look at Tank.
Another one. Oh!
Frye is trying to slug with Tank. This is Tank's game. Tank lands again.
Boy, they're going toe-to-toe. There is no grappling in this whatsoever. Clinch right now, but neither athlete looking like they, oh, another right hand. Tank is hitting Frye. Frye is throwing some counters, but the big punches have come from the Tank.
Oh, uppercut by Tank. Both fighters are bloody. Tank goes down. It might have been a slip, though. I don't know if Frye nailed him or not, but he went down, and now Frye is at his game. Looking for a submission. This is his strength on the mat. Tank's in trouble.
I don't think he has it under the chin.
He got out of it. He got out of it. Tank grabbing Frye's foot. Frye trying to sink and choke. And that is it. Frye has won. The ultimate 96.
Oh my gosh. What an ending. As fast as it started, look how quick it ended.
Don Frye wins the ultimate.
Champion, Don Frye.
Tremendous boxing exhibition by Tank, but when it came to the mat, it was Frye's game. Almost surprised that Frye didn't try to bring him down earlier and wanted to slug with Tank.
I couldn't understand that really strategy from the start, but really when it came down to going to the ground, Frye reigns supreme. He has improved his submission holds tremendously. I mean, I'm not sure Tank realized he really lost that. He's probably looking back there saying, look who's bloodied. But Frye able to sink a chokehold, actually telegraphed the fact he wanted a choke, and Abbott unable to stop it. Tremendous skill by the complete one. The man that has all the assets, Frye, dominant in almost every aspect of the fighting realm.
And as ferocious as he is in the octagon, he is classy, quiet, out of the octagon.
Oh, without a doubt, he's a gentleman. Almost every one of these fighters are, but Don is easy to like, very easy to talk to, unassuming, and really never has to let anybody know he's dangerous. He carries that kind of confidence.
Let's take a look at some of the action, because early on, it was Tank Abbott's fight. He came out wailing, employing the tactics that Jesse Reed taught him. That was a jab, believe it or not, and it knocked Frye down. Tank came right in after him. Another look at Frye going down. Tank with a solid left hand, and he followed it up with a couple of uppercuts. Tank was wailing away. See, he did go down. He lost his footing. I don't believe it was a punch that knocked him down. He fell down, he lost his footing, and that proved to be his undoing. Because once Don Frye got on top, it was just a matter of time, and he was able to work the tap out. First he landed a right, then he got in position, tried to sink the choke. It looked at first like Tank got away. First time I believe he repelled it. But you can see Tank in deep trouble. And then, second time he was forced to tap out. Frye had sunk that choke in real good. And Abbott, despite his warrior attitude and his tremendous performance tonight, could do nothing but tap out. In the UFC, there is valor in tapping out. And there's the bell, which he earned tonight. Judgment Day coming up February 7th, Niagara Falls Convention and Civic Center. Ticket information as you see, and it will be Frye against Severn to unify the championship. Let's go to Jeff Blatnick and Don Frye.
Well, Don, an absolutely tremendous performance by you, but I have to ask you, what was your strategy going into that fight? How did you want to attack the Tank?
Well, my strategy was not to get hurt or get hit, and obviously that failed right away. Tank's a fantastic fighter. You know, everybody talks bad about Tank, but, I mean, he kicks like a mule. I think I broke my hand against his head. The man's an animal, he really is.
Well, you took some vicious shots. Certainly anyone that thought that you might have had a soft chin has to respect your performance in there. You got tagged.
Yeah, I did. I'll tell you, he sent me right on my rear end. Like I said, Tank's a fantastic human being, as far as the fighter is.
Well, we also saw a change in your approach. We saw you use 2 great submissions. Have you been specifically training in submission locks to try to relieve how much you have to rely on your punching power?
Yes, sir. I tried getting away from the punching because I feel like it kind of limited me. People thought I was one-dimensional. You know, Becky Levi, Steve Owen, great judo trainers, great wrestling trainers. We worked on the submission tremendously.
Well, Don, congratulations. A tremendous fight, tremendous championship. You'll be fighting Severn, and you're always a class act. Let's go to Tony Blauer.
Backstage here with Tank. Unbelievable fight, man. Unbelievable.
It was all right. It was unbelievable for me because I lost.
Well, you were nailing him. He just, I don't know if you caught any of the interview, but Don just said you were an animal, that you hit like a mule.
I think just about everybody that I fight will tell you that. I mean, the last guy that I fought him injured, and I lost according to the Poindexter's hold-up card saying who won the fight, but I beat him to the emergency room, and I beat him to, he couldn't pass the medical to fight in this show.
Let me ask you a quick question. You said every fight's a fight. Are you disappointed?
Well, I'd like the W, but I don't care. I'll go have a cocktail and maybe get in another fight tonight.
You respect Don Frye?
No, I don't respect anybody.
Come on, man.
No, I don't.
You don't respect anybody?
Not even you.
Tank, good luck. Back to you, Bruce.
All right, well, that was Tank at his very best and very much according to form. Well, don't forget, if you want to ring in the new year in style, it's the ultimate New Year's Eve with a look back at some of the great fights in UFC history.
It's the ultimate New Year's Eve party on pay-per-view. Tuesday, December 31st. 6 hours of ultimate non-stop action. 6 hours of ultimate non-stop excitement. 6 hours of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. See the best matches and the toughest fighters from UFC 1 through 11. Plus 4 matches never before seen. Make this New Year's Eve the ultimate New Year's Eve. Don't miss the Ultimate Fighting Championship's ultimate New Year's Eve party on pay-per-view.
Well, have you ever watched the UFC and wondered how to get in on the action or maybe learn how to fight UFC style? Now's your chance. The Ultimate Fighting Alliance, the sanctioning body for the UFC, now accepting new members. There's 2 ways to join. As a registered charter member, you get an official UFA jacket or gi patch, ID card and member certificate, or as a registered combat athlete, which also gets you entered in the UFA's worldwide database of fighters. For those of you interested in pursuing UFC-style training, the UFA also offers rank testing and certification. So call 800-525-6465. That's 800-525-6465. We want to thank our executive producer, Robert Meyerowitz, and our producer, Michael Phelan, and our director, Mark Lucas, for all their help tonight, and the entire crew, which always goes to great measures to make it very easy for us to perform. So we thank you, everyone involved in production and engineering. And when you look back at tonight, we talked about 100% pure adrenaline, 1,000% pure guts. There's no question that Don Frye showed both tonight. For Tony Blauer, Manny Garcia, and Jeff Blatnick, I'm Bruce Beck saying good night. Seeing truly is believing.
Now you can own the official UFC fightwear. Take home the UFC baseball cap or the UFC t-shirt. Also available are other official UFC alternate apparel.
Let's get it on, man!
Know the fighters, their stories, and their stats. You can also own the UFC official commemorative program. Don't miss the action. Call for past events, now available on video. Have your credit card ready and call 1-800-525-6465.